Really a historic day on Wednesday around South Florida with the landfall of Hurricane Ian. Now, the system, slow moving, very deliberate in its intensification and then eventual landfall on Cayo Costa over here in Southwest Florida. Category 4, winds at 150 miles per hour and a 940 millibar pressure reading. Now, the pressure reading really isn't off the charts, but the winds certainly were, and they still are. And this system won't just spin right down. It's going to be a problem as we head into Wednesday night, throughout the day on Thursday, even into Thursday night, as it continues to cross the peninsula. As of Wednesday night, it was downgraded, I say very loosely, with winds at 125 miles per hour. That's a category 3, still a major hurricane. Here's the problem: the forward speed still less than 10 miles per hour, moving forward at 8 miles per hour, and that again prolongs the impacts of wind and rain and surge. Now, maybe surge not so much of an issue here in the hours ahead, but for the folks still on the coastline here in Southwest Florida, it is an issue into the evening and late night hours. The system by tomorrow morning spinning down to a category 1, that's with 85 mile per hour winds, but the wind field will be expanding. And what do we have across Central Florida? We've got a major metropolitan area between Orlando, Lakeland, and even Tampa here, right along the I-4 corridor. So the impacts will spread far and wide across Central Florida, and the system not even exiting the Space Coast, maybe a little bit further up until we get into Thursday evening. And at that point, it recharges over the Atlantic waters and makes another landfall by the time we get into the end of the work week across the Carolinas. And this may not look like a big deal, but we're going to spread a tremendous amount of wind and rain to the north, even into the southern Appalachians by the time we get to Saturday night. So a system that started in the Caribbean, moved into the Gulf, and then brought broad, historic perhaps impacts to to Southwest Florida, moving to the north of South Florida. This certainly will be a system that we'll look back on with, well, a lot of memories of the turmoil that I think that we're going to find in the wake of the system moving across the state. So go through the overnight hours tonight, still focused on the flooding rains and the damaging winds that will be present here across, again, Southwest and Central Florida. And again, coming in through the overnight hours when it's dark out and you can't see the threats coming, that is tough. One final note for you: a rare high risk was issued on Wednesday for a good portion of the state. So the ground is saturated. We've had a wet end to the rainy season, most recently with the stationary front draped across the area. So it's not going to take much to spawn localized flooding and maybe widespread flooding as a slow-moving tropical system moves from southwest to northeast. 12 to 18 inches of rain. Again, the inland impacts of Hurricane Ian certainly to be felt through the overnight hours Wednesday and then throughout the day on Thursday across the Florida Peninsula.